Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Welcome to the shutdown. The government shutdown began just about 6 hours ago, and we're going to be talking about it. We're also, and I appreciate, I've gotten quite a few comments already this morning about Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump meeting with the generals and admirals. Thank you for that, sending in quotes. I've got that all here as well. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. So Mark sent it in, another viewer sent it in. I appreciate that. It's also the beginning of October. Welcome to October. So we got a lot to cover this morning. The government shutdown will be a main topic. We'll talk about that. Don't think for a moment we won't. But we have a lot of updates from the last few days that I think I'll kick off the program with. First, a very nice comment from a viewer. They called in yesterday after the program, and I wanted to pass this along. The viewer said, I just wanted to say that there are a lot of alleyway lanes in Corning. There are, sure are. And a lot of people drive aggressively. It's dangerous, and my proposal is that they all be one way to prevent accidents. Thank you. Well, I will say, and I appreciate your comment, because they are very dangerous with the alleyway out back here of the station. The one way does not always work. That is one way. Going from east to west. But let me tell you, when you walk out that back door, you better make sure you look both ways, because that's not always the case. But I do think you raise a very good point. And next time we have, whether it's a mayoral candidate, Pam Walker, on the program, or any representative from Corning, we will make sure to mention that to them. Speaking of guests, though, later on in the program, we will have Steuben County Sheriff Jim Allard, so make sure you get your questions in for him during the broadcast. Again, thank you for the people reaching out and sending us what they thought of Pete Hegseth. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But the government did shut down after the congressional deadlock on the spending deal. I think this comes as no surprise to those that have been paying attention. We all but predicted it yesterday. It looked as if there was no way that they could come to some type of an agreement. You now see the play by the media and the Democrats trying to blame Republicans. Again, no surprise there. So an earlier attempt by Senate Republicans to pass a short-term extension of fiscal year 2025 government funding levels, called a continuing resolution, was sunk by Democrats. Now, this was just a clean bill. It was just to continue funding for a few months, short-term. But Democrats have a few key points that they are stuck on that have nothing really to do. What is it? It was at one point, 1 point something trillion dollars that they wanted to add in there with healthcare and things like that. The bill that the Republicans originally proposed, a continuing resolution, would have given Congress until November 21st to set fiscal year 2026 funding priorities. Passed by the House largely along party lines on September the 19th, the Senate is expected to vote on the same bill again today, with more votes to come through the rest of the week and into the weekend until either a deal is struck or Democrats relent. There were a couple, I know Fetterman, I'll try to get the full list. There was a few Democrats that voted for it, but there was one Republican that voted against it. In addition to their anger over being sidelined, Democrats had also pushed for a continuing resolution to extend Obamacare subsidies that were enhanced during the COVID-19 pandemic, but were set to expire at the end of this year. Republican leaders signaled that they were willing to discuss those health care dollars later this year, but accused Democrats of risking the entire federal government over their demands. And I have to say, Speaker Johnson's done a fantastic job of highlighting what he calls the hypocrisy of Democrats saying how bad shutdowns are and then embracing this shutdown. But they have to look like they are a part of the resistance. Look how much pushback Senator Schumer got when he agreed to the funding bill not that long ago. I mean, it cratered his polling numbers, and he's never been able to overcome that. There was questions of whether or not he should still be in leadership. He had to cancel his book tour because of protests from his own side. So they realize they're in a situation where the kind of the extremes, if you will, of their party, the far left of their party, wants this quote-unquote resistance. And if that means shutting down the federal government, so be it. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said there isn't any substantive reason why there ought to be a government shutdown. This is something that has been done routinely, as I said, 13 different times when the Democrats had the majority. But we are not going to be held hostage for over $1 trillion in new spending on a continuing resolution. So we're going to talk about this in depth a little bit later on. But as I mentioned, we do have other things to catch up on that I think may be a better way to kick off the program. But just if you are waking up and you maybe thought there would be some hope for government to stay open, I don't think any of us are too surprised this morning waking up and seeing that the federal government is shut down. And I see the governor. Well, we'll talk about it. Okay. Someone sent this into my program yesterday, to the program yesterday, excuse me. And I did not get a chance to check it before the show ran out of time. Because I always like to do my due diligence, of course, and get some more information on, and it's not about any specific viewer. It's just, that's just what we should do here on a program like this. So I didn't have time before the show ran out, and now we're a day later than we should have been, but it's still a major issue, and we're kicking off the program really with New York State issues. If you have not heard this by now, it is shocking. New York State issued a driver's license to a migrant, but did not require a first name. Now think of the hoops you have to jump through at the DMV and to get a license and these things. Well, this revelation came as Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt said a man caught up in a raid that ensnared 125 illegal immigrants in his state had a New York commercial driver's license with, quote, no name given in the place of his first and middle monikers. The Republican wrote on a true social, or not just on a social media post, I don't know what social. If New York wants to hand out CDLs to illegal immigrants with no name given, that's on them. The moment they cross into Oklahoma, they answer to our laws. The New York Department of Motor Vehicles confirmed to the New York Post that the license issued on April 4th and is set to expire May 26th of 2028 is very much real. The DMV spokesperson said this commercial driver's license was issued in accordance with all proper procedures, including verification of the individual's identity through federally issued documents. So are we to believe that this person's legal name, given name, is no name given? The spokesman said the individual in question had lawful status to be in the U.S. through a federal employment authorization and was issued a license consistent with federal guidelines. He did not specify which program and what federal issued documents were provided to the DMV to verify the man's identity. The statement added, it is not uncommon for individuals from other countries to have only one name. It was not immediately known how many other licenses have been issued like this. Asked how the DMV knew who Stitt's post was referencing, the spokesperson said, we know who the person is based solely on the information in the picture of the tweet. Wow. Representative Elise Stefanik, who has said she'll run against Governor Hochul in next year's gubernatorial election, put her on blast over this revelation. And now I think the New York Post kind of worded that a little strange. She said at a fundraiser, actually a fundraiser for Congressman Nick Langworthy, that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when she declares she's running for governor, but she has not officially declared, even though it looks it in her writings and her tweets, etc., that she's running for governor. But she said, this is again, Representative Elise Stefanik, at every opportunity, Kathy Hochul has turned her back on New Yorkers to bend the knee to the radical far left of the Democrat Party that puts illegals and criminals first and hardworking, law-abiding New Yorkers last. So thank you to Elise Stefanik. Andrew Arthur at the New York Post writes, no city or state suffered more on 9/11, but this single incident shows how even the Empire State has forgotten the lessons of that horrible day and how New Yorkers, support embracing illegal immigration is setting America up for a tragic replay. All but one of the 19 illegal aliens who carried out those attacks in 2001 had some type of U.S.-issued identification documents. As Richard Barth, then Assistant Secretary for Policy Development at the Department of Homeland Security told the Senate in March of 2007, the terrorists found it easy to fraudulently obtain driver's licenses and state-issued IDs. And he goes through and lists all the specific instances of this. But Barth noted, the U.S.-issued IDs enabled the hijackers to maneuver throughout the U.S. in order to plan and execute critical elements of their mission, allowing them to rent cars, travel, take flying lessons, and board airplanes. The 9/11 hijackers evidently believed that holding driver's licenses and ID cards would allow them to operate freely in our country, he chillingly concluded, and they were right. The bipartisan 9/11 Commission, tasked with investigating those attacks and making recommendations to ensure they could never be replicated, recognized that easy access to domestic IDs created an unacceptable vulnerability to our homeland. In their final report, the commissioners advised the federal government to set stringent new standards for driver's licenses. And that's back in 2005. Congress passed the Real ID Act. And yet, with all of this, in Section 202B1 of the Real ID Act said, quote, the person's full legal name. And yet the document in New York State, the driver's license, the CDL, was issued to, quote, no name given. Perhaps the Given family decided to pull the cruelest possible prank on their newborn child and christen him No Name. More likely, though, a New York Department of Motor Vehicles clerk issued what's supposed to be among the most secure documents in our nation, an ID allowing the bearer to enter a nuclear facility, to an individual who failed to provide the most rudimentary identifier, a full legal name. Worse is the fact that it is not a simple ID, but rather a commercial driver's license. The 9/11 hijackers had to overpower flight crews and steer massive aircrafts at high rates of speed to commit their attacks. Think of the carnage a trucker with the wrong cargo could wreak. There's a reason that semis on our highways are emblazoned with hazmat place cards like flammable gas, explosives, and radioactive. They warn other drivers to steer clear or risk calamity. But what if calamity on a massive scale, impacting tens of thousands of our citizens, is the reason the driver is barreling down the highway? That's not a bad commute, it's a national disaster. A goal of the Real ID Act was to ensure only U.S. citizens and legal immigrants could obtain compliant IDs. New York have decided it can ignore our immigration laws and has now apparently set its sights on bypassing other federal mandates as well. Until this issue is resolved, President Trump would be within his rights to bar travelers from using New York State Real IDs when attempting to board aircraft or enter federally protected facilities. There's no reason for No Name Given to have a Real ID commercial driver's license, and New Yorkers of all people should understand why. So again, thank you to the viewer who sent that in yesterday, and I wanted to get that to your attention. Actually discovered an illegal immigrant with a official CDL license with the name No Name Given. When we come back, we've got one other update on New York State. Well, first we're going to talk about Pete Hegseth and that, and then I have an update from yesterday's program on the inflation refund checks that we talked so much about on this program. We talked about it a lot yesterday. So we'll talk about that after Pete Hegseth's speech and Donald Trump's speech at that surprise meeting. Thank you to everybody who commented on it already. We'll read some of your comments. We'll continue here in just a moment, so stay with us. Welcome to the Government Shutdown edition of Frankly Speaking. We'll be right back. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street in Corning. Comment from a couple viewers. First viewer, Senator Lisa Murkowski requested $2 million for affordable housing in South Naknek, Alaska, a village of just 67 people. That's nearly $30,000 per person in federal money. Remember Alaska's bridge to nowhere? This is homes for nobody. $30,000. Wow. I had not heard that. Thank you. That wasn't with the continuing resolution, though, right? That's just in general with the appropriations. Comment from a different viewer, and this helps me. This is kind of condensing what Pete Hegseth yesterday. This viewer writes, everyone was curious to know why so many military officers have been summoned to D.C. this week for a meeting with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Apparently, he wanted to deliver a message that he felt would be more effective in person than via memo or over Zoom. Here's just a portion of what he had to say. And before I quote Pete Hegseth, I think it is more impactful in person. This was kind of remember the warrior ethos that he talked about? This was him sending out the message of warrior ethos. Now, if these various generals, admirals, if they receive a memo, it does not have the impact. It's something easily ignored, or even a Zoom meeting feels easily ignored. But this is what Pete Hegseth had to say in person. This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that has infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusion. No more debris. And I said it before and we'll say it again. We are done with that, and we'll say baloney. He also told them that everyone of any rank will have to meet the same fitness standards, calling it completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look, it is bad, and it's not who we are. I didn't look at the crowd. I'm not knocking anybody specifically, but I'm guessing there's some people that were in the crowd watching felt very targeted by that statement. Felt very, is everybody looking at me kind of feeling. Continuing, Hegseth said that upholding and demanding high standards is not toxic, but that endangering subordinates with low standards and promoting people based on immutable characteristics or quotas instead of based on merit is toxic leadership. He concluded, from this moment forward, the only mission of the newly restored Department of War is this: war fighting, preparing for war, and preparing to win. Unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit. Not because we want war. No one here wants war, but it's because we love peace. Now, of course, the way the media and those on the left are portraying it is to kind of demean Pete Hegseth. Full disclosure, I like doing this. Full disclosure, I did interview Pete Hegseth quite a few years ago on the radio. I like to say that just so you know, basically that I got to interview him. But also just, I have talked with him before, well before his time at the Department of War. But what they're trying to do to demean him is to say that he was low level in the military and he was lecturing the best of the best. That's kind of how they're presenting it depending on what outlet you use. He also said at one point that the new standard is going to be male level fitness standards to face life and death situations. If women and, quote, weak men don't make the grade, so be it, he said. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, and frankly any formations, and see fat troops. It's unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading all around the world. It's a bad look, and it's not who we are. Yeah, he didn't pull any punches. That is for sure. It's all a part of his plan to toughen up the force and to carry out President Trump's orders to de-woke the military. I've mentioned some of these quotes already. But combat forces will have to do real hard physical training every day and undergo 2 tests each year to ensure that they are up to the highest standards. I don't want my sons serving alongside troops who are out of shape or in combat units with females who can't meet the same combat arms physical standard as men, or troops who are not fully proficient on their assigned weapons platform or task, or under a leader who was the first but not the best, the secretary stated in his speech. Standards must be uniform, gender neutral, and high. If not, they're not standards. They're just suggestions. Suggestions to get our sons and daughters killed. The era, and as I mentioned, the era of politically correct, overly sensitive, don't hurt anyone's feelings leadership ends right now at every level. Inviting any brass who disagreed with his approach to do, quote, the honorable thing and resign. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses, no more climate change worship, no more division, distraction, or gender delusion, no more debris. I've said it before and we'll say it again. We're done with that baloney. So that is a quick look, because we've got a lot to cover, and we have Sheriff Allard coming in a little bit later on. But we are done with that baloney. And we also, it was interesting, one of the standards, I just think, at a time when beards have become so commonplace, that no more beards. We're turning into the old Yankees under Steinbrenner. Is that who it was? Today, at my direction, every member of the joint force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service. Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty day. Should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already, but we're codifying. And we're not talking like hot yoga and stretching, real hard PT, either as a unit or as an individual. At every level, from the Joint Chiefs to everyone in this room to the youngest private, leaders set the standard. This also means grooming standards. No more beards, long hair, superficial individual expression. We're going to cut our hair, shave our beards, and adhere to standards. It's like the broken windows theory of policing. It's like when you let the small stuff go, the big stuff eventually goes. So you have to address the small stuff. This is on duty in the field and in the rear. If you want a beard, you can join Special Forces. If not, then shave. We don't have a military full of Nordic pagans. He definitely had, he continued to speak about how the military had leaders who either refused to call baloney and enforce standards, or leaders who felt like they are not allowed to enforce standards. Both are unacceptable. And that's why today, at my direction, the era of unprofessional appearance is over. No more beardos. The era of rampant and ridiculous shaving profiles is done. So beardos is the term for people with a beard in the military. But Trump said in his part that we are reawakening the warrior spirit. It was interesting and I know the media has latched onto this, but it is kind of protocol to not really clap and not really go wild in a scenario like that if you're in the military. So kind of even Trump joking, and of course they said it wasn't a joke. The media's normal reaction that it wasn't a joke when he said, okay, if you're not going to laugh and you can walk out, you'll just lose your rank. You know, it's a typical Trump joke, and it got even some chuckles. But of course, they're posing that as some type of threat. But it was weird seeing Trump give a speech with no kind of real reaction over and over. But Trump saying we are reawakening the warrior spirit. Now the media is latching on to Trump making the suggestion that the military could use American cities as training grounds, referring to places like Chicago, New York City. They're very unsafe, and we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war from within. I told Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but our military, because we're going to Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor. So that's the focus by the media, saying that he's suggesting a weaponizing, putting people on the streets. So that's your quick overview. I know we have a lot of veterans that watch this program. I'd love to hear your thoughts of what Pete Hegseth said, or anybody's thoughts on what Pete Hegseth said. But the warrior mentality coming back, and really a no-nonsense speech to the generals and the media. Well, it's interesting because it's the Trump media cycle. So the media was outraged at first. Now, because of the government shutdown, they're laser-like focused on the government shutdown. So it almost got lost in the news cycle because it happened earlier in the day, and then so much happened after. So I'm not saying it's the end of the conversation. I'm sure the media is still going to try to paint it as some type of threat, some type of scary scenario where we make our military warriors again. But for as of now, they're focused on the shutdown, which we will be here in just a little bit. I do want to give you an update on the inflation refund checks, or kind of an opinion piece on it. Then we'll talk about the government shutdown. We've got some New York State issues. Feel free to weigh in on all of this or anything else you'd like, because that's the kind of news day it is. A lot of breaking news. As I said, today on the program, Sheriff Jim Allard will be our guest in the 7 o'clock hour. Tomorrow, we're going to hear from the Alzheimer's Association. There is the Walk to End Alzheimer's coming up at Eldridge Park on October 11th. I will be a part of it again, just like last year. We'll get you that information if you'd be kind enough to donate and like to donate to an amazing cause. We'll be talking with them so you can find out if you want to start a team. Also, on Friday, we're going to hear from the Oh, no, I got to change that. There's been a change in the schedule, so I will keep you updated on Friday. But again, Sheriff Allard on today. If you missed yesterday's interview with Richard Thomas, you may know him as John Boy from the Waltons. I almost drew a blank there. John Boy from the Waltons. But he's going to be at Mark Twain tonight at the Clemens Center. And we talked with him yesterday. That is up on our YouTube page, so you can find that as well. All right, there we go. Little housekeeping. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back. Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A couple of viewer comments here. Operation Guardian. Governor Stitt says 130 alleged illegal commercial truck drivers arrested in the sting. Yes, we mentioned at the very beginning of the program. That's the sting, Operation Guardian, that led to us learning that New York State had issued a CDL license to an illegal immigrant with the name, no name given. That's what we're dealing with in New York State. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning. Well, hey, good morning. I think people in the Navy can grow beards. Do you know if the no beard objective applies to Navy personnel? Just curious. It sounded to me as if, at least with the new protocol, the way Hegseth worded it, that if you want to grow a beard, join special operations. So it sounds like there'll be no beards except for in special operations. So that's what it sounds like to me. And he went as far as calling people with beards beardos. So I would think the Navy would not be exempt from this. But that's just speculation based on P. Hegseth's words. Wanted to mention this to you very quickly before we talk about the government shutdown. I know a lot of people, you're going to hear a lot about the government shutdown as it continues. I am surprised as of now, and this is going to probably change because how the media operates and how the left operates as they work in tandem, work together. But right now, the onus is being put on the Democrats. And polling is showing that people are not happy in both parties. But before that, I know we've all been wondering what we're going to do with our inflation refund checks. The Governor Hochul is sending us, and she wants you to believe it's coming right from her wallet. And I'll be curious when people start getting them in the mail. If you see one, let me know. I'm assuming she'll have signed it, so her name will be all over it. But again, in her speech, and we talked about this extensively yesterday, in her speech, you would think that this is going to be life-changing, that you can get that new addition on the house, or you can get your roof fixed. Again, $200 for most, $400 for family. Well, New Yorkers would be right to feel stiffed with their inflation refund checks as they arrive in the mail. The measly amount won't even make a dent in the soaring cost of living under Governor Hochul. And that's the point we made when it was first announced. We said, will this actually backfire on Hochul where it almost look insulting? And then you add her speech on there where she understands what you're going through. She understands the struggle because of her background and as a mother of two and this. And then, you think, especially if you don't know the money amount, so you think that check's going to arrive in the mail and you think, well, good, at least this will get me a little bit above water. And it's going to be $200, maybe $400, depending if you're a family or single. So to me, it does seem, and I know I said at the time, I'm not bashing $200. I'll take $200 any day of the week. But it doesn't seem like a positive for Hochul. To me, it almost seemed like a negative, that people will say, this is what, so I can go get groceries, maybe go out to dinner, not even get full groceries, maybe fill up my tank. But on Friday, the governor announced that state residents will be seeing the one-time checks for $150 to $400 in their mailboxes in the next couple of months, paid for by the bump in sales tax revenue caused by walloping inflation. It is, as the New York Post writes, a blatant gimmick to win over voters ahead of her run for re-election in 2026, though she's probably overestimating the goodwill that it'll buy her. And that's been my point from the beginning. I think there'll be people walking away more angry about this than excited about it. I think there'll be more people walking away angry than saying, well, I guess Hochul's not that bad, as they look at their $200. And it is a blatant gimmick to win over voters ahead of her run. There's no doubt about that. A few hundred extra bucks won't stretch into next month for most New Yorkers, much less next year. Record high rents and still punishing grocery prices are just the beginning of state residents paying. They're also now paying for the wallet-squeezing policies that Hochul herself has inflicted on the state. The governor doubled down on Andrew Cuomo's harebrained green energy schemes, and consumers are paying the price. The average monthly rate for residential electric bills exploded 54% between 2019 and 2025. And it's only going to get worse. Con Edison is seeking hikes to electric and gas bills, and the state's Public Service Commission approved steep national grid rate increases in August, which will add an extra $600 per year to many upstaters' utility bills. Energy companies don't have a choice, thanks to Hochul, who's waged war on natural gas and relentlessly pushed for a total switch to electric power that the state's current grid can't accommodate. Then there's Hochul's much-hated congestion toll, if you're more of a city resident, of course. Even in the most generous of the refund checks will only cover about 2 months of the fee from congestion pricing. The governor was at least partially honest while hyping up the check, saying, "This is your money and we're putting it back in your pockets." But she failed to point out that she's the one who emptied their pockets in the first place. I thought that was just kind of a nice cap on what we talked about yesterday. What are you going to do with your rebate check? Do you think this will buy the votes she hopes it will? Fair questions. When we come back, government shutdown. Your thoughts when we return. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Marcus Street in Corning. And joining us a little bit later on will be Sheriff Jim Allard. All right, let's go to viewer comments. With respect to the shutdown, I can't wait to see what Trump and the Republicans will push during the shutdown, like firing Democrat employees, etc. Trump has definitely done some tough talking, but the U.S. government, and we'll see what it leads to. The U.S. government shuts down after Senate Democrats fail to support the stopgap funding bill. So it is shut down as of midnight tonight. Affected agencies should now execute their plans for an orderly shutdown, said the Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought. A House-passed bill, backed by virtually all Senate Republicans and President Trump, to keep the government open with funding at current levels until November 21st, failed to clear the 60-vote legislative filibuster in the upper chamber by 5 votes. Watch when you see coverage of this. And I saw this, I mentioned it yesterday in the program, I saw disingenuous coverage on the news, which was, well, Republicans have the majority. The Republicans have the majority. They don't have 60 votes. And that's what this all boils down to. That's why it is on the Democrats' shoulders. That is why it's their responsibility for the shutdown. That's why they are responsible for the shutdown. In the memo, Vought noted that it's unclear how long Democrats will maintain their untenable posture, making the duration of the shutdown difficult to predict. Democrat congressional leadership refused to support the GOP measure unless provisions extending pandemic-era health care, insurance subsidies, and reinstating billions of dollars in funding for foreign aid and other programs cut by Trump were included. The Senate adjourned shortly after the failed vote. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said lawmakers would try again Wednesday morning. "I'm hoping there are enough reasonable Democrats over there," Thune said during an appearance on Fox News. "We picked up 3 tonight. We're going to vote on it again tomorrow. Hopefully, we're going to pick up some more, and eventually we'll get enough to pass this thing and keep the government open." Now, there's polling that shows this is not in Democrats' favor to keep this going. But boy, they look like they're digging in their heels. Your thoughts on it? I'd love to hear it. And we can go through if you're interested. There are the What You Need to Know articles by CNN, by Fox. Now, members of Congress, political appointees in the Trump administration, and all essential congressional and federal employees, including postal carriers, air traffic controllers, and others, would all be paid to work during a shutdown. Federal benefits, including Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, will continue to be distributed, along with a supplemental nutritional assistance program providing food stamps. U.S. military service members, non-essential federal employees, and White House staff would only be paid retroactively once the shutdown is over. So that something should be done there about the military. What do you think about that? Why are they non-essential? But it is an important note for the others that what happens is they're on essentially paid leave, but they don't know when their vacation is over in a way. So when they return, because they will return, they will get that back pay. And that's important to note because that's something that's often overlooked or missed by the media. But again, officially shutting down. I haven't seen all. I hate when the articles don't do this, just so we have a better idea. 2 members flipped their positions to back the GOP bill on Tuesday night in the final vote. Democrat Senator Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada and Senator Angus King of Maine, who caucus with Democrats, and Democrat Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania also backed the bill and has criticized the party's strategy during the shutdown fight. At least 2 other Democrats appear to be seriously contemplating their vote on the floor Tuesday, which Republicans took as another sign of weakening in the Democratic Party's stance. Senior Democrats had long conversations with Senators Jeanne Shaheen and Maggie Hassan, both of New Hampshire, on the floor before they ultimately voted with Schumer and the rest of the party. So that's going to be the interesting part of this. Will you see enough Democrats come to the Republican side on this one single vote just to pass a clean continuing resolution, or will they be willing to go down with the Chuck Schumer ship? And they go through some of who the holdouts might be, or who some of the switches may be, but that is all yet to be seen. Again, I have all the what you need to know about the U.S. government shutdown. If you have any questions on that, please feel free to text in at any time. As I said, most are getting paid, or the workers will be furloughed, and the furloughed employees will get paid after they return to full-time work. So it's paid time off. You just don't get the pay up front. And then there's the threat of permanent layoffs that Trump has made. In a memo to all agencies last week, Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Voigt asked officials to draft reduction in forces plans for all programs not statutorily required in a shutdown. Once fiscal year 2026 appropriations are enacted, agencies should revise their RIFs as needed to retain the minimal number of employees necessary to carry out statutory functions. Those staff reductions would take effect after 60 days, at which point the shutdown would almost certainly have been over. Voigt's plan has put Democrats like Schumer and Jeffries in a particularly tough spot, given their past statements about the effects of shutdowns on government workers. Chuck Schumer saying over 1 million active duty military members won't get their pay. A shutdown would degrade troop readiness and devastate our southern borders, something our friends on the other side who claim to care about border security conveniently ignore. Well, then stop the government shutdown. I'm confused. Now, I do think it's wrong that the military does not get paid, but that's just overall the situation, the cards that have been dealt. Chuck Schumer can end this today. So there you are. We're shut down. And I know we've asked this in the past when they start talking about government shutdowns. Do you believe your life will be affected? How do you believe your life will be affected? Has it been thus far affected with not quite 7 hours of it being shut down? Now, past government shutdowns have been more about political theater than economic shock, with markets and jobs bouncing back quickly. This time, though, President Trump's warning that some furloughed workers may not return to their job raises the stakes, turning a routine disruption into a threat to an already fragile labor market, according to Fox News. If Trump carries out that threat, it would almost certainly face an immediate court challenge. But if it stands, a shutdown usually dismissed as partisan brinkmanship rather than financial disruption could deliver lasting economic consequences. Now, any journalist who submits any inquiry to the U.S. Department of State since the government shutdown on October 1st will receive an automated response blaming delayed responses on congressional Democrats who refuse to pass a clean funding resolution. Media correspondents will now receive the following message from the State Department if they reach out for comment, if they reach out for a question. Thank you for your inquiry. Please note that responses may be delayed due to the government shutdown caused by congressional Democrats. Tommy Pigott, principal deputy spokesperson of the department, emphasized how the Democrats are the ones that caused this shutdown, saying it's not partisan to state the obvious. Democrats are to blame for the looming shutdown. Congressional Republicans have maintained that Democrats own the shutdown, with House Speaker Mike Johnson putting their hypocrisy on blast by using their own words. And the polls show that Republicans are preferred in this scenario, that they are not getting the blame as of right now. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, a couple other things. Don't forget, Sheriff Allard coming up in just a little bit. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Looks like the first day of October out there, doesn't it? With a Frankly Speaking roof cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some viewer comments here. The peacemaker, says one viewer. President Trump's Gaza plan has not only won support from Israel, but also from the Arab and Muslim world and from the Palestinian Authority. Who do Democrats blame after Hamas rejects peace? They'll still blame Israel. As a matter of fact, the new poll shows that support for Israel is dropping, and the New York Times was running with that yesterday. But if you look at the numbers, it's because the support by Democrats has declined so much. Republicans largely continue to support Israel. 7 in 10 Republicans said they supported providing additional aid to Israel. A majority of Republicans said Israel should continue the military campaign, et cetera, et cetera. But the drop in support for Israel almost entirely due to Democrats. So, I mean, but thank you. Comment from a different viewer. Just a comment. Well, there we go. In my mind, Fetterman is the only Democrat with any common sense. He should flip to run as a Republican. Yes, he did vote to keep the government open. He has said some really great things about Israel and about this rhetoric being pushed by Democrats that has caused the violence and the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the like. So he has been more level-headed. I will say there would be many things you disagree with him on overall. So keep that in mind, but I do think he is more level-headed, and he's kind of the voice of reason for that party. Comment here, the shutdown will in no way, shape, or form affect my situation. Same here. And finally, for this segment, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I think that it would be a nice gesture to send a thank you gift to Hochul for her generous refund check. She'd look great in one of those Trump 2028 hats. Trump 47 is so much fun. He's funnier than any late-night comedian and bolder than any politician. Very much so, funnier than any late-night comedian. I don't know if you're referencing this specifically, but did you see that Trump taunted Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer with a Trump 2028 hat at the Oval Office? He also showed them, that is being reported, and I can't remember where it was being reported by, that he also showed them the auto pen. The picture of the auto pen on the presidential wall. During a meeting with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, President Trump reportedly showed them a photo of former President Joe Biden that is represented by an auto pen. Andrea DeSterto, a senior congressional reporter for Punchbowl News, claimed that during an Oval Office meeting, Trump also attempted to give Schumer and Jeffries a Trump 2028 hat. DeSterto wrote, funny detail from inside the Oval Office meeting. Trump tried to give Schumer and Jeffries a Trump 2028 hat. They did not take them. Jeffries then turned to J.D. Vance and asked him how he feels about that. J.D. Vance responded, no comment. I'm not really sure. Oh, because Vance should be there for 2028. I'm sure that was a little bit of fun, a little bit of back and forth joke. Trump also walked some of the leaders and staff outside to the wall of former presidents. Trump stopped at the Biden auto pen photo and asked them if they liked it. So to that viewer's point there. So there you are. Okay, so nearly 2/3 of Americans and about half of Democrats oppose the government shutdown. Now, this was released Tuesday as we were preparing for the government shutdown, if you really prepare for something like that. It's a New York Times Siena survey released yesterday that found 65% of registered voters agreed with the statement, quote, Democrats should not shut down the government even if the demands are not met. 65%, folks. Among registered Democrats, 43% were against shutting down the government even if the party is unable to win any concessions. So that shows me 43. That means that the majority is now more headed in the direction of the more extreme wing of the party, the more AOC's, well, not AOC is a bad example, but the far left. An additional 59% of independent voters also oppose the shutdown under any circumstances. But what it shows to me is that the Democrats, there is a major part of that wing now, that far left wing that is taking over. We'll tell you a little bit more about this because Fox shows another poll. Well, hold on. I can read this. Majority of American voters warn Democrats shouldn't back government shutdown over some key issues. Their key issue being Affordable Care Act. So they should not shut the government down over that. because what does that have to do with a continuing resolution? But many Democrats appear eager for a fight. By a 47-43% margin, Democrats said the party should shut to vote the government down. So that would tell me 47% are now kind of the far left wing, but that is now the majority. The resistance is now the majority of the Democrat Party. A couple other things we're going to talk about as we wrap up hour number one. Keep those comments coming in. Keep those waves coming in. Time's flying. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this. As always, we thank Boss Security for bringing us that beautiful view of historic Marcus Street. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live and proudly from the Hesselson's studio. Runners give quick waves. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to some viewer comments. About Gaza, have people forgotten that Hamas attacked Israel? This is not a turn the other cheek world. I stand firmly behind Israel. In the media reporting, you would think, and the way politicians talk that are anti-Israel, you would think that Hamas was almost an innocent bystander or had nothing to do with why Israel. They want you to forget about October 7th is what I'm trying to say without getting too much in the weeds. They want you to forget that that's what started all this and that Hamas can end this and there could be peace and it's on Hamas's shoulder, but they want you to forget that and their attacks on Israel. All right, comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. Will the federal judges who seem to think they run the country continue to be paid during the shutdown? Great question. I did a quick little bit of research, and federal courts may be forced to quickly curtail operations, potentially delaying trials and other hearings. And that was written before the shutdown began. So that's in reference of saying if congressional funding is not extended. Well, it was not. So federal courts look as if they will have to quickly curtail operations and potentially delaying trials. That's a great question. Great thinking on that point, because they definitely do seem like they think they run the country. Fantastic point. So Chuck Schumer, and this is coming from, I believe it was Politico, but it may be Bloomberg. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries face a big leadership test in the shutdown fight. Some Democrats are still furious with Chuck Schumer for caving in the last shutdown fight, while his House counterpart, Hakeem Jeffries, is relatively untested. He's been untested for a long time. He got a little bit pushed back when he didn't fight hard enough in the resistance. Now he's getting a little more support. I'm not going to go through all this, but it is on their shoulders, and polling shows that. Even the media is begrudgingly forced to report that it's them and their holdup on Obamacare subsidies from the COVID pandemic that has caused our government to shut down. But AOC spins it a different way. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez declared President Donald Trump wanted to, quote, just make sure that kids are dying because they don't have access to insurance. Chris Hayes said, this is on MSNBC, there are some people I've seen who have the following theory of why Senate Democrats have not cut a deal where they give 8 votes and move along. That is that Chuck Schumer is worried about a primary challenge from you and is worried about the politics to his left flank. And so because of that, worry about a primary challenge, he's going to shut down the government. Ergo, it is AOC's fault that the government is shut down or that you're somehow responsible for this. And I want to ask you straight up, are you planning to primary challenge him? Do you think that that's why he's doing this? Now, we heard that theory yesterday. I brought you that theory yesterday. I think that's a weak way for Chris Hayes to present it. He's trying to get some type of scoop. AOC said, this is not about me in the moment. This is about people being able to insure their children. I will say, because I saw some senators speculating about this, I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, we will have this shutdown. It's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly. Because what I'm not going to do is tolerate 4 million uninsured Americans because of Donald Trump deciding one day that he wants to make sure that their kids are dying because they don't have access to insurance. That's what's not going to happen. So if the senators think that we're having a shutdown because of me, they're free to enter my office and negotiate, because what we're not going to do is allow all the millions of people in this country to not be able to afford their insulin and chemotherapy. So come strike a deal with me. A little autocorrect there. But so again, not learning from the rhetoric, the calls for lowering the tone, that because of Trump wants to make sure the kids are dying. Maxine Waters admitted on Tuesday that Democrats are demanding health care for everybody in their fight against the continuing resolution. Are Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens? A reporter asked Waters. Waters responded, Democrats are demanding health care for everyone. So there you go. Just looking at time, out of time. We'll talk a little bit more about this. We do have the sheriff coming up in the next hour. Stay with us. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2, moments away. Welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We're talking a lot this morning. So many things to cover. Talk about Pete Hegseth's meeting with the generals. What's interesting about that is a major story. There's a lot of takeaways from that. We talked about in the last hour. But because of the Trump media cycle, now you've got the government shutdown. It's almost old news somehow. Isn't that remarkable? We also have been talking, obviously, about the government shutdown. We've got Sheriff Jim Allard coming up here in just a little bit. Comment from a viewer: liberals hate ICE. We know that, Immigration Customs Enforcement. And we should change the name to NICE, National Immigration Customs Enforcement. Who could be against a NICE agent? I like it. That was a nice raid. Right? I mean, think of how many things that could be used on. Now, Governor Hochul, and this is something that you'll start to see in kind of the brinksmanship of a government shutdown. Some will try to make it hurt, and that's what Governor Hochul is going to try to do. Hochul is refusing to pony up state funding to keep the Statue of Liberty open during the government shutdown. Hochul is refusing to come to the rescue and provide state funding to keep the Statue of Liberty open if it closes due to the partial government shutdown that commenced Wednesday. Hochul blamed Republicans in Congress for a potential closure at the National Monument. All right, there, the sheriff's coming in right now as we speak. So let's take a short break. We'll get everything in order here. Don't forget the sheriff coming up next. On tomorrow's program, we're going to be talking to the Alzheimer's Association as they have their walk coming up at Eldridge Park on October 11th. And then later in the week or early on Monday, we're going to talk to the Rotary about their October Feast event here in Corning on October 11th as well. So we'll have all that and much more. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio this morning, we have Sheriff Jim Allard. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day in Steuben County.
And always, it feels like fall out there today, doesn't it?
Oh, it is. It's
beautiful.
It's chilly. It's 41.
Now, I want to start off, before we get into kind of the nitty gritty. I heard the story yesterday. I got the press release. You have to tell us what happened with the missing 3-year-old. What a wild story, but that ended great.
Ended so well. And
because you get nervous when you hear that announcement go out, right?
Well, and in our last 3 or 4 searches we've done have ended in a recovery, not a rescue.
Yeah.
So it was very nice to end one in a rescue, and he was hilarious.
Was he?
Oh my gosh, he was full of beans. And his puppy went out, and he went after it, and he and the puppy went over hill through dale, and
oh really?
And one of the neighbors, a guy that used to be the mayor of Savona that I graduated high school with, of all things, found him on his 4-wheeler, saw him and located him. And
was he out looking for him?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, actively looking for him.
Because you had a lot of people actively looking for him.
We did, and that's kind of the cool thing. One of the things that I'm incredibly grateful about right now is that all of our agencies work so well together. And when Chemung County sent 10 people.
Right. I saw that.
When we have a critical incident, everyone comes in the county, across the county. We even had New York State Parole showed up to help with it. I mean, when the call goes out, everybody comes. We have very little of the me, mine mentality anymore in law enforcement in our county, and I'm incredibly grateful that we're able to do that, and the help from the state police was amazing. They brought down their helicopter and had that going. Our drones were going, thermal imaging. I mean, you name it, we had it. Trip, the bloodhound, was on the track and was still continuing to track, but he had gone quite a ways.
I was going to ask, so he was reported missing around 11:15 a.m.
Yeah.
Found at 3:30. That's a long time. He didn't make it pretty far.
Yeah. And he kept moving.
Did he?
Well, him, the puppy.
Archie?
Yeah, Archie the puppy.
Archie the puppy? Wow.
And the mom is a local person from Caton.
Okay.
Corning High School graduate, and is a paramedic. I believe it's paramedic for Bath Ambulance. So it's all people that we know
Yeah.
that were involved, and just so thankful that it worked out the way it did, and hopefully they
Learn
put an
their
air
lesson.
tag on his shoe. But yeah,
No, it was just nice because the visuals of it, your heart sank when you first heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
A 3-year-old chasing his little puppy,
yeah,
and you think,
of all the bad things that can happen.
yeah, exactly. So, well, and it took quite an effort. I mean, so many people getting involved. That's wonderful. So it's nice
Yeah.
to start with a nice positive story. Also on a completely, almost unrelated, well, completely unrelated note, but also great news. I don't think we have a chance to talk about it, but the Addison bank robbery.
Yeah.
It was nice to see that. I mean, obviously there's still a process here, but that,
Right.
that must have taken a lot of work.
That was a phenomenal piece of detective work. Our investigators, and again, we're so steeped in technology now in what we do between phones and Ring cameras, and
Yeah.
we were, without giving too much away, this has already been testified to, but we were able to track that person, the bank robber's movements via different cameras from different locations,
Wow.
pretty much throughout Addison. And down here also,
Yeah.
we had really good
The picture was from
video of
Corning,
him
right?
from from down here, and so huge thanks to Corning PD and Hornell PD and everybody that helped in between, because and Addison PD obviously, because that was a lot of slugging through tips and just being meticulous, and our investigators did such a phenomenal job with that. I can't overstress the good work that they're doing.
Is that why? Because there wasn't that long of a delay, but everybody wants answers right away, right?
Right.
Today's
yeah,
culture.
Yeah. You
But
should
see-
have them in custody in a half hour,
Yeah,
just like on TV.
I know, but I know. With one commercial break, we'll give you. But if you look at it, I mean, you just going to people's doors to get Ring cameras, just doing all that must take forever.
Well, in collecting the DNA evidence,
Oh, sure.
and getting that to the lab, and in the state police lab was phenomenal, in processing it as a priority and getting us answers back within a week.
Mm-hmm.
It was all hands on deck, and it paid off.
Yeah, well, that's great. So there we go. We start with that,
Yes.
and then kind of on a different note as well. I never try to segue with you. There's no way to do it because there's just so much going on. But I recently saw reports, and I thought it was a little disingenuous. And I won't name who did it, but saying that there was kind of outrage in the community about you partnering with ICE.
Yeah.
And I know if you watch this program and the comments I got, they love the fact that you're partnering with ICE. We've had the conversation before that this is what should be done.
Right.
What has been the theme so far of this program? Working together.
Correct. And
So-
that's part of why we did it,
Yeah.
was to better collaborate with our federal partners, but also be part of the solution.
Yeah.
And, we're not out, again, it was, some of the questions were a bit silly.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we already work with them.
Yeah.
We work with all of our federal law enforcement partners. And where the disconnect comes is because of New York State. New York State, with their green light law, says you're not to work with them.
That's ridiculous.
I feel in a almost unconstitutional manner.
Yeah.
We'll let the courts decide that. But what we do is support the Constitution. And part of that is working with all our federal law enforcement officers,
Of course.
all of our colleagues, and having the smoothest working relationship we can. This is just another example of that.
Yeah.
We're not out throwing on. We're not buying new hats that say ICE agent and putting on our raid jackets and going out.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Right.
But if we do take someone into custody that is wanted by the federal government, why keep them in our jail and pay for it
Right.
when we could hand them off to the federal government and remove that issue from our county?
Right. It seems, again, like a no-brainer. I know we've talked about it in the past. Why wouldn't it's also for the safety of the officers and all
Yes.
this, the federal officers, ICE, because, you see in the city where they have to go in after the fact and do a raid,
Yeah.
which isn't always going well.
Well, and we saw that in Rochester.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great point.
Where they went to grab, I think it was 1 or 2 people, and they ended up with a van full.
Yeah.
And had to call for backup, and then
They
were,
got in trouble.
Right, because they're doing their job.
Yeah.
We never want to be in that position.
No. And so when they say there's kind of an outpouring in the community against it, I would argue that it's the opposite.
Yeah, it was, I believe 2 people went to the legislative meeting. Now, I presented on this at the last public safety meeting. No one came.
Okay.
They had the full-fledged meeting. 2 people came to my knowledge.
Okay.
I've had 0 residents reach out to me and say why.
Yeah.
The only ones that have are 2 of our legislators from this area
Okay.
that
Had questions.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we answer the questions. There's no secrets.
Oh.
That was one of the funniest things yesterday was when I got interviewed. He said, "Well, some people say you're whitewashing what this is," and you know me, I started laughing. And,
Yes.
And I said, if you know me at all or have ever worked with me, you know that what you see is what you get.
Yeah, whitewashing is not the right term.
There's not much subterfuge going on. here.
No, my favorite, I got to use it more, is some people say.
Yeah. Some people say.
It's never named who those some people
The
are.
man on the street says.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say kudos because we got so much support on this program.
Well, and
when
I've
they
had
heard about
support
it.
across the county
Yeah, of course.
on it.
Yeah, so it's, I think it's a great plan. And like we said, it's all about people working together.
Well, yeah, it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, some other questions coming in from people as well. You can get your questions in for Sheriff Allard. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. We are back with Frankly Speaking. That's a Boss Security roof cam. Thank you so much to Boss Security. Give them a call today for all your business and home security needs. We are back in the Hesselson studio with the sheriff. I just got to find the right button there. There you are. There's the sheriff. We got so much to cover, but so many questions from viewers. This is a little different, but we'll read Mark's comment, even though. As far as the government shutdown, it's ridiculous. Democrats want health care for illegals, and Republicans offered a clean bill, no attachment. But the real reason the Democrats profit off of big pharma, and if insurance isn't added, they lose. It's not for the people. It's a money thing. Thank you, Mark. All right, now for the sheriff. Can you ask Sheriff Allard about how staffing is going in the jail and road patrol?
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
In the jail, we're down
Move your mic just a little
significant.
bit. Sorry.
Nope.
I think we bumped it. Sorry.
Oh.
I could have done that better with my camera. I'm sorry, everybody. That's probably,
I'm trying to keep my hands
I know.
still today.
No, you're
Usually
doing
I'm
great.
knocking your stuff all over.
You're doing great.
The jail, we're down over a dozen guys again.
Oh, really?
It continues to be a challenge. Well, most of the state ones we hired either went back to the state or a few left the career altogether.
Okay.
So once they said, come on back home, no harm, no foul, we lost folks back to twice what they were making. And you can't blame them.
You can't blame them.
So
Hopefully they're treated better this time.
I hope so. So we're still struggling there on the road. I think we have 2 vacancies currently, but it's a challenge. We just had a test, another patrol test week ago Saturday.
Okay.
So there'll be another list coming out. We're actually testing twice a year now for deputy and police officer positions. But what exacerbates it is Corning PD's down 4 people. Bath PD's down 2 people. I think Cornell's down 1 or is full staffed. So we're all fighting for the same 5 people typically that pass the test. There was a better turnout this time for the test. I think it was close to 50, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
In November, they're going to do their PT test, and then we'll know what our choices are, and we'll begin the hiring process again. But I fully expect the roadside to be fully staffed by the end of the year.
Oh, good.
But it's an ongoing challenge with the jail staff, and the staff that we have are phenomenal, but we're continually hiring and trying to retain those new folks because it's a culture shock.
Is it because there's so much competition? Is it almost like the NFL draft, or how do you guys work?
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like people you think you have someone hired and then boom, they're going somewhere else, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And you can't
Do you
get
get
upset.
mad? Do you call it the?
No, you can't do that because everybody's in the same position.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing when somebody tells you, "Yep, I'm on board," and then 3 days later you find out, no, they weren't. But no, you can't get mad.
No, but it's got to sting a little bit. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank and Sheriff. I say, we'll say, forget New York. We're doing a great. You're doing a great job, Sheriff. Please keep up with the good work in spite of the left wingers. He says, or she says. I don't know.
Thank you,
Sheriff Allard. Please scan Frank's office for Kamala's new book or a Hillary mug. It's a trust but verify thing. You're fine.
I was going to check you. I was going to pinch you today to make sure you weren't AI.
Yes, that's right. Don't even say that. Those of us in the media don't even like that joke.
You're going to pinch you and make you say ow.
I see that they released the numbers that Kamala's book is actually selling a lot.
Oh, I didn't know she had one.
Yeah, called 107 Days. So that's how long.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's coming out. It's not out yet, but supposedly it's going to be a tell-all. We'll see.
Ooh.
But no, I trust but verify. I appreciate
Yes.
that, but we're good here. I think
He's got Culligan water.
Yep, and otherwise I got Langworthy letter, Trump's inaugural ticket. I think I'm okay.
Pioneers.
Yeah, see, we're all good. All right, comment from
I brought my sailboat mug.
We're all covered. Karen writes in, great show. Working with ICE is a no-brainer. Sheriff Allard, you're doing a great job. And there was a reference earlier in the program that someone wants to change the name to National Immigration Customs Enforcement, so it'd be NICE. So she said NICE is a no-brainer to work with. Would that be great? Nice raid, right?
Yeah,
you get that called Nice Raid.
It was a nice raid.
Yeah. So there are our comments. Yeah. We're going to get to some things about the county. I think we have to do that every show. We'll get to that in a moment, but we have a couple of things to catch up on. How did the garden go?
Oh my gosh!
I saw that in the newsletter.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Is it still anything going? Or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they're still getting stuff out of it because it was so wet early on.
Oh yeah.
They're still getting tomatoes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Another successful year. I love the updates.
Well, and as a matter of fact, today will be another one because it's October, and I'm kind of mad at myself here. I forgot we did a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness.
Oh yeah.
With everybody could buy their own pink badge.
Oh, that's
and
a great
wear
idea.
it for the month of October. Mine's on my desk.
Well, it's October 1st.
Yeah, I forgot to take it home with me last night, and I didn't stop in there on the way here today.
No.
But yeah, you'll see a lot of deputies with pink badges. All of the proceeds are going to the Wilmot Cancer Center.
And don't you have? I shouldn't put you on the spot because I have the day here, but you're having. Is it free mammograms?
The mammography van is coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's coming up on October 17th, right at the Steuben County Public Safety Building. So if you want to find out more, you can call for appointments and all that. So I thought, that's interesting. I didn't realize that was October. Good to know.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so you'll see a lot of our deputies and correction officers with bright pink badges.
That's a great
on,
idea.
And I'm so mad I don't have mine on today.
That's all right. We'll get you some other time. Also, this is a big weekend for our area. Wine Glass.
Yes, Wine Glass is coming Sunday.
They sent me a list of all the road closures. It's overwhelming. I can't read it. So what's
it is
like for you right there on the ground?
It's funny because I've done this every year since I was undersheriff, and
does it get easier?
It does.
Okay, good.
Because I'm in. The race director, Sheila Sutton, will agree with me, I'm sure. The first couple of years were challenges. Mm-hmm. There wasn't an infrastructure that there is today. Mm-hmm. We didn't have the volunteers shored up that we do today. And almost every fire department on the route really does the heavy lifting for the race. And we hit the hot spots along with the state police. And we had our final pre-meeting on Monday of this week. And I just thanked everybody that was there because without and I did a presentation in Buffalo on this a couple of years ago. I call it the volunteer race because we do what we do because of so many volunteers across. All of the EMS are volunteers, all the fire volunteers that help, and with a handful of law enforcement, we're able to make, and this is the second largest marathon in the state of New York, second only to the New York City Marathon.
Wow.
And
keeps growing.
It's a labor of love. It is. But I'll be out there at 5 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Yeah. And it's great this time of year when they're getting ready because I can already see the people trickling in.
Oh, yeah.
Because what I'll do is this week just watch people. And there's always runners in the morning.
Yes.
But it's kind of overwhelming.
A lot of runners in the morning,
And boy, if you like pasta, this is your week. Every place has some pasta deal, some pasta buffet.
R&M will sell out.
I know. Yep, exactly. But no, it's such a great turnout. I do think it's good for the community. I know people like anything else.
It brings millions in sales to the community.
I know. And some people say, well, I can't drive from here to there. What it brings to our area. I know it's one day. Yeah, just.
I do feel for the folks in Coopers and between Campbell and the finish line here because they get it double with the half and the full.
Yeah.
I feel for them. But again, that was one of the things that I insisted on early on was drop dead open dates.
Yeah.
Or open times along the course. So Savona is guaranteed to be open back up by 11 a.m.
It has to be, right.
And Campbell is by noon. And on down we go. Exit 43 is 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And if you're still Mike Case, who used to be the station commander in Painted Post would say, it's a race. If you're walking, you're not racing.
Right.
and that's part of doing a marathon, and I get that. But if you can't finish the race in 5 hours, you become a pedestrian.
Right. It's
and
true.
it's only fair to the residents to do that. So
I would be a pedestrian then.
I'd be a pedestrian after the first corner.
I know. Can you imagine?
But and we have a lot of fun with it. I'm a pretty big cheerleader on
I agree.
on the race.
Well, it brings so much to our community. You love seeing the people, and it's kind of nice as we, the seasons change. We had Harvest Fest, and it leads into this. It's kind of just getting ourselves all ready for winter.
Well, and there's a lot of folks that come not only to run it, but to support their runner, and then want to come back because it's so beautiful. And that helps tourism, and it helps trade, and it helps all of our short-term rentals. And it's just, I don't think people understand the ripple effect to the economy of the area that the wine glass causes.
No, we used to do an interview every year, and when you talk about the money that does come to the area, just the sheer amount of people, it's remarkable. I would recommend, if no one's been to the finish line, or if you haven't been to the finish line, go one time. It's you probably never get to go to the finish line, do you?
Oh,
do you make it to the finish line? Okay.
Yeah, I do the start of the full, then I do Savona, then I hit Campbell, then I hit Cooper's. Then I hit the finish line and check in and kind of report back as to how I feel it's gone.
And I've made this joke a million times in the past, but if you told me on Sunday morning, get up and drive that far, I'd be like, do I have to? It's a Sunday. Let alone
get up
run.
And take the bus.
Yeah. But I mean,
have
just
to get bussed in.
But I'm just saying, like, even
and then run 26.2 miles.
Yeah. I don't want to do a 26.2 miles on a Sunday, and these people are doing it. You think about the distance from where they start to here.
And this one's pretty. We're going to spend all day talking about the wine glass.
That's right.
This was in Runner's World as one of the top 10 in the world that you have to run because of the beauty, the weather, it's flat, and it's the final qualifier before Boston.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. I mean, if you've got to be out there running, and I don't know how that must feel. But
it's going to be warm.
Yeah, it's going to be warm. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Real warm.
It's going to be in the 80s.
I didn't even think about that.
We're already planning for dehydration and cramps.
Yeah. Wow. But at least you get a beautiful view as you're getting cramps and dehydration.
You're laying on the side of the road.
Exactly. Well, what I want to do is when we come back, we're going to talk, because I see a lot of questions coming in wondering about updates with the county. So why don't we take a break? Keep people hooked. I don't normally do this, but we'll keep people hooked. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking. We'll be right back. Frankly Speaking, Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. The sheriff joining us. All right, let's go before we get to the county, because we got a couple. I'm not trying to keep people hooked, but this is a good question because we've talked about it all summer. Ask Sheriff Allard why they changed the laws if they did that everybody on Keuka Lake must have a boating operations license. Well, it's anywhere.
Anywhere across the state, yes. It's on any navigable waterways. The only carve-out caveat to that is if you're renting a boat.
Yeah. This makes no sense, by the way.
No, you don't have to have the boater safety certificate. However, the person renting to you is responsible to make sure you understand the safety rules that New York State has established.
Sure.
So
they get like
it's anywhere in the
course.
state. It's not just Keuka. It's anywhere in the state.
How to go? But you've done one once a month. How to go for
the
summer?
last 12 months? Yeah, and we've maxed out almost every month on the number of students we have. So we're reaching people and we're getting it done. And I'm very proud of the guys. We just had one, I think, last Saturday.
Okay. Have you had any? Did you see a lot of issues this summer with people not knowing or?
No,
okay.
No. Good. I think most folks do. And again, we're still in the we had one where the operator of a PWC didn't have one, which they've had to have them forever, and so they went back to shore, got somebody that did have it, and came back out, and that's great. That's what we like to see.
Great.
Compliance is the goal.
And our other question, I'm not going to read exactly how they worded it because it was a little biased. I'm going to try to be a little bit less biased here. Tell us any updates that you have on, obviously, the county that we've talked about so often and the appeal.
Yeah, so the county filed their appeal.
Yeah.
Nothing's moved on that. Okay. No, nothing's happened.
Now, I will say, because I'm a big fan of the Hornell Sun,
yes,
and I get a lot of news from them. They do a great job.
They do.
And they've put our interviews up there.
News. Yeah.
They put our interview up there a couple times. And I see that the one person that went for the appeal,
Yep.
Scott Van Etten, did respond to
Yeah.
some of the questions. And I noticed it didn't turn into a back and forth, that you did not respond to the response.
I did not. It was, it was ridiculous. The response was ridiculous. And sometimes I go back to President Lincoln, who said, the longer you argue with a fool, the harder to tell who the fool is.
Sure.
I just felt like it was time to not respond.
Mm-hmm.
And what was in that interview felt so much like, almost got to compare it to like the internet trolls that are
sure.
always looking for a conflict and looking for an argument, trying to
poke.
generate
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like because it was so off base and ridiculous. The one that I did like, because it kind of encapsulates the attitude. It said that when I filed the harassment complaint with the state, that it cost the county $14,000 to defend it.
Yeah.
Well, when I filed that, that was after I had already gone to the 2 county compliance officers
Right.
and said this needs to stop. And they did nothing.
Yeah.
And they didn't investigate, which is their policy, to promptly investigate. They didn't do that.
Sure.
So I filed, and in the resolution part of it, you have to put, what do you want to see out of this, basically? How can, I said, stop the harassment and stop making untruthful statements about me and apologize. That
Pretty
was
simple.
it. There was no monetary amount.
Right.
Nothing. And they'd rather spend, so this kind of gives you the whole picture in a little bit of nutshell.
Right.
They'd rather spend $14,000 of your money,
Yeah.
your hard-earned taxpayer money, than to say,
Sorry.
I'm sorry and stop harassing and lying.
Something's not right there.
Well, it kind of encapsulates this whole issue.
Well, it does, and that's why a lot of people will comment here, just the pure cost of
Yes.
all of this. And I guess the argument, not to go down this rabbit hole again, but the whole argument from the beginning was that you were going to be a cost.
Right.
And yet, we haven't seen that.
Yeah, Phillips Lytle, the law firm they used out of, same one they used for that.
Yeah.
Over $200,000. Wow. Since June of 23.
I know. We always go down this rabbit hole, but people
that's
get
your
shocked.
money.
That's my money.
And they act like it's their money.
And that's what it seems like. It's a grudge that is being held, and why
At
not?
the expense of the
Yeah,
taxpayer.
why not? It's not coming out of anybody's wallet except for ours. The people that
Right.
don't want it overwhelmingly have shown that they do not want it.
Correct.
And that's one of the things I think silver lining in that response is how many times supporters came up, meaning
Yes.
your supporters.
Yes.
Well, his supporters will say this. Well, is there any supporters that say anything about you that are writing this? Because
Right.
I don't know any supporters
Right.
about the appeal,
No.
and that's anecdotal. But I've never had one person write in and say that was a good idea.
No.
And if you feel that way, please let
But
us
again,
know.
that just kind of encapsulates the attitude.
But we've had the conversation in the past. You've had such great support through all this.
I have, and I've been incredibly fortunate. And it's funny, last week I was at a training on resiliency as a FBI train the trainer.
Okay.
So that I can go out and teach the FBI's course in officer wellness.
Okay.
And we had to do a strengths assessment. And obviously, you'll be surprised to hear humor was number 2.
Okay. Number 2.
Yeah. Number 1 was gratitude for
Oh,
me.
that's nice.
Because I am very, very grateful for all that I've received, and I'm super grateful for the continued support, but I'm primarily grateful for the great work that our people do.
Yeah.
And that I get to be part of that.
Yeah.
Third was honesty.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good 3.
I was pretty happy with
Yeah,
that
I
assessment.
would think so. But so there just is no time frame. They haven't given you any idea,
No.
like your
No,
lawyers
and I haven't talked to my attorney about next steps.
Yeah.
Because it's just, when you read the appeal, it's just a regurgitation of what they tried
That's what I'm confused by.
in the hearing.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new.
How
It's not like,
tedious.
ooh, we got a new piece of evidence.
Yeah.
That's usually what an appeal
Yeah,
is.
sure.
Something new came up,
Right.
and we feel this. There's none of that. So I just don't know, other than wasting taxpayer money, what they hope to achieve.
Yeah. If anybody knows the answer, please. Like I said, and I know the Hornell Sun said originally, if
Yeah.
they want to
And ag-
respond.
And again, someone in the county approved that pay. Someone in the county approved that expenditure. So I know that many in the legislature are saying, well, it was just Scott. It wasn't us.
Right.
Somebody had to approve it.
Yeah, I know. Let's get away. It's so tedious.
It is.
Not for, I'm sure for, well, I always joke not for me because it's
Yeah.
great for the show, but like, it does get tedious though that we have to talk about it every time when we want to talk about garden, we want to talk about wine glass.
Right.
So I just wish it was all said and done, but
Yep.
it isn't. And here we are. So thank you for that viewer who sent in that, that comment.
Yeah, thanks.
But oh boy, it's frustrating. You know, one thing I don't think you've been on the program since then.
No.
How or since that last time when the announcement came out, how fantastic was the First Responders Park 9/11 ceremony?
That was an incredible one, and how deserving was Glenn Vogel?
Yeah.
And the former Campbell fire chief, he taught my EMT class.
Oh,
He taught in that,
yeah.
And we have worked with him so well in the past. I specifically remember it was an attempted murder we had in Campbell where gentleman slit his wife's throat.
Oh my gosh.
And then took off, and we did another manhunt, and we captured him, and so he immediately slit his own wrist.
Oh my gosh.
As we're taking him into custody, and Glenn was there immediately on scene, and this is before I was an EMT.
Yeah.
And Glenn was treating that guy as we're securing him. Glenn is treating him without any hesitation. I mean, just a phenomenal guy, and so deserving of,
And you could
of
see it
that
from the
recognition.
people in the crowd that were praising him, and the people that, I mean, former students, I guess you would call it. I thought that was they're always nice every year. This one was just, I think, the weather was perfect. It just
It was
so
a
special.
beautiful day.
Yeah.
It wasn't raining.
I know, right? They do a great job over there with that park, though.
Well, and, I think the unsung hero there is Chief Bierweiler.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Fire Chief Pete Bierweiler. He's the one that shepherds that, keeps it going, makes sure that it continues. Now, Don Kreth and Ernie Danforth and Pete got it started. I met with them when they were first beginning it, and we've supported it, obviously, every year since. But Pete really keeps the wheels on that bus.
He really does. And I'm going to be interested to see what next year brings, being the 25th.
Yeah.
I mean, not of the park, but of 9/11, and just because it's already, we've talked about this before, when TAP starts playing, that's tough for me in any scenario.
Right.
If it was someone's cell phone, I get a little weird.
Yeah.
So that's going to be next year.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
It'll be emotional, especially for those of us that were working.
Oh, I'm sure.
When it occurred.
Yeah. Kudos to them because they do a fantastic job. Okay, what else should we go to? Again, no way to kind of maneuver this here. I should be better at this by now. I've only interviewed you hundreds of times, but I'm like,
It's like herding cats when I come on.
I know. I forget what I was going to talk about. One thing I think with the school year starting, I don't know if we've had long conversations about this, but I saw a little bit in your newsletter. I think often overlooked, especially in today's climate, are how important student resource officers are.
Yes.
And I think, for whatever reason, probably my fault, we kind of glance over it. But is it tough to find student resource officers?
School resource officers.
What am I calling?
Student.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're not.
No. Yeah, thank you for correcting me. That's why I've never brought it up before. I make a fool of myself every time I do. School research.
They're incredibly important, not just because of the security they bring to the school, but because of the interactions they have with the students. Joe Stremmel, who's our SRO in Hammondsport, greets every child as they leave the bus and enter the school every morning.
Yeah.
And high fives them and fist bumps them and, hey, Officer Joe, hey, Officer
that's what
Joe.
I mean. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they know that if they have any issue at all, they can go right to him.
Yeah.
And he's in their hard drive as a police officer that is a friend.
Exactly.
And that's so important in the developmental aspect of our youth to get that shift away from what they may see on TV or hear about from some members of our national government,
right.
And get so that they feel comfortable walking up to a police officer when they have a problem. And we went from the first year we had, when we first started this program in 2014, we had 6.
Okay.
And we're at 26 now across the county, and it's.
Is it that the schools ask for it? Is that how it begins, the process?
They ask for it, and then they ask for more because they pay for it.
Okay.
It's a full reimbursement program from the school districts. And we've worked with the state assembly trying to make it state aidable for SROs. Yeah. We've had a bill. We've worked with Assemblyman Palmisano, Senator O'Mara. Unfortunately, it's not a popular thing for the ruling class.
Unbelievable.
But it would take some of that weight off the districts if we could make it part of their state aid. could go to pay for the SROs. So we push for that every year because what we're finding too is Chemung County adopted the same program that we have.
Right.
So we're competing with them. Canisteo PD, North Hornell, they all adopted the same program we have with the retirees. So now there's a bit of a competition for hiring, and they're both paying more than we are.
Okay.
So
that's
now
what you
gotta,
get.
Yeah.
No
now
good deed goes unpunished.
Well, that's kind of true.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that we have so much better security across the region because of this program. It's a really, we don't have a school. I think Avoca right now is the only one that doesn't have somebody in it.
Okay.
And we have, there's a variety of ways that we're meeting that need, but to have that person there, because so many of our schools, we have 12 school districts in the county, 3 full-time police departments. So the majority are not covered by a police department.
Wow.
So to have SROs there in case that bad day comes, A, is tremendous, but B, is a really great deterrent.
And I know you touched on it already, but I think the last time we actually discussed it was when it was all the defund the police or bail from, and we thought, what a great step, because they get to know these people. It's not what, like you said, the mayoral candidate in New York City says about them.
Right.
And they do build that friendship, and I've talked to people that there is that long-lasting friendship with their SRO.
Everybody remembers their SRO
Yeah.
from when they were a kid.
Yeah.
They do.
I think that's wonderful. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. Keep those questions in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Don't forget their tent sales actually starts today. We've got the sheriff in the studio, so we got a couple comments I think you're going to like. First off, back in the early 60s, the local police department came to my school and gave each student a badge. Incidentally, these badges were heavy and made of metal, a smaller version of what a real deputy would wear. Is anything like that still done? What is all that?
I don't know. I think the aliens landed.
Finally. Is that like the gong?
Yeah, it must be.
That startled me.
That was odd.
Yeah. It worked. Do they still do anything like that, or?
So now they're stick-on.
Oh yeah. I've seen those.
Yeah.
Because don't you hand them out at the fair?
Oh, we hand them out everywhere.
Yeah, hand them out everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, this is from a different viewer. That still's got me. Good morning to all. It sounds like Pete Hegseth is going back to the old Army physical fitness training manual. When I was in the Army in the 60s and 70s, we did PT every day. We as drill sergeants had to lead the PT from 5-mile runs to 25-mile full pack and weapons marches. It was all kick butt and take names. Thanks to Pete, as we can restore our military to a symbol of strength around the world. That was a heck of a speech.
That was, and it's going to be super controversial. It is, but I've experienced folks that have gone through a basic training in the summer and not able to pass our PT test in the fall.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, and as a prior military person, prior drill sergeant, it's unbelievable to me. And what everyone tells me is it's not what it was. When I was in the 101st, we ran 4 days a week in combat boots, at least 2 miles every day.
Yeah.
And Friday was the CO's choice.
Oh, no.
So it might be 3, it might be 6. You
Yeah.
didn't know.
Wow.
And, the CO or the XO led the run. And the first sergeant or one of the platoon sergeants called cadence.
Wow.
And you ran.
It seems, I guess, for those of us that aren't in the military or don't know a lot of people in the military, I suppose, I just assumed that was common practice. I didn't assume that the PT every day, those type of things had gone away. I know that we had heard about the woke culture, but hearing what he had to say was pretty eye-opening for many of us.
Yeah, and again, I'm not there, so I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't
and
say
I think
what
there's
it
different
is.
places and different. Yeah.
But I do know that when you want to change a culture, set a culture, you have to clearly communicate what the culture is going to be, and you have to clearly communicate what your standards are. And it sounds like that was the goal.
Yeah, it sounds like it worked. Like you said, anything's controversial, though. Anything Pete Hegseth said, or anything Trump says, and it was awkward with Trump with no one clapping.
Oh,
Because I mean that's
Yeah.
how it has to work, right?
Right.
They're trying to almost like Supreme Court judge. They're trying to be fair or whatever
yes,
you call it.
they're
But
yeah.
you know that Trump wasn't ready for that. He's like, you can laugh, you know.
And they said no, we're judges.
Yeah, I know. So no, I thought it was great.
But yeah, so that's kind of my take. Is it's all about preparedness, readiness, and ability to win.
And it's not as if he withheld that information when he first was nominated. He said that he wants to bring the warrior mentality back too. And I will say, when he got the job and they changed it to Department of War, he just got a really cool business card. Right? I don't know. But
That
anyway.
takes you back to the Civil War.
Yeah, right. So okay, a couple quick hits because we're just about out of time. I know there's been some talks about changes to cashless bail. Do you have any hope in that? Because I know they try to say that bail reform isn't the same as cashless bail, but it is.
It is. And they'll do some cosmetic things.
Yeah, okay.
Just so that they can say they did, so that as the next election cycle begins,
Yeah.
the governor's got to be able to say that she did something. But, you know, the changes that need to occur are so vast. And the number one change is give the judges in village and town and city and county court judges the ability to assess the danger of the individual to society, not just a flight risk,
Right.
when assessing bail. And every other state has that. New York is a standalone one-off that doesn't do that. Just that one change would be significant because your judges know your people.
Exactly.
And they know their communities, and they know the crimes when they read them, and they know, holy cow, we got to do something about this. And by taking that ability away from them, as we did here in New York State, and never giving them the opportunity to be a judge, it's been incredibly detrimental to the criminal justice system
Yeah, I couldn't agree
and
more.
the safety.
Exactly, and that's why with all the national news that we've seen about it, I know Trump weighing in. If something's not done now, I don't have a lot of faith anything is going to be done. I
Right.
don't want to sound pessimistic, but something's got to be done on this.
Yes,
I don't know.
it will.
It will be.
It will.
Be positive.
Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot more unnecessary victims before we do.
That's the problem. All right, last break, and then we're going to wrap up today's edition. So get those last second comments or questions in, and we'll be right back. We are back with Frankly Speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. In the studio, Sheriff Allard. A couple quick things we have to go through because we're nearly out of time. But we were talking out there. Tell me about the record management system, what that means to everybody watching.
So Under Sheriff McNellis last year got a $600,000 grant from the state to upgrade to a centralized records management system for the county so that every police department in the county and the sheriff's office use the exact same records management system, and all of that data is in one place. Yeah, for the DA also to access. So before, everybody had their own.
Yeah.
And there was so today, well, we're going to go live in November, but once this starts, say I get stopped in Corning and I go into the database, somebody in Arkport,
I just moved my camera.
somebody in Arkport can look that up and see that and get my data, get my information, and in case they need it.
This whole show's been about
In an
cooperation.
investigation, it is. So I'm incredibly excited about that because we partner with the Monroe Crime Analysis Center so that when we have things like bank robberies, we have all that data that they can then mine and analyze and use, which has already paid off. With another grant, we got dash cams that have license plate readers in every patrol car.
Oh, wow.
During the bank robbery, one of our responding deputies actually got the vehicle on LPR and on video that the bank robber was in.
Wow.
Leaving the scene.
That's very impressive.
So
the days of Dragnet are long gone.
long, just the facts, ma'am. Yeah.
So I saw the press release. Oh, that's two things. The Steuben County Sheriff's Office successfully passed its most recent New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services accreditation audit for standards involving hiring practices and law enforcement misconduct reporting standards.
Yep.
It's a mouthful, but that's great.
It is, and what it says is we're complying with all of the investigation reporting standards for the Law Enforcement Misconduct Investigation Office, but also that our hiring standards meet or exceed what the state requires for accreditation.
Great. Perfect. And it just
Yeah.
kind of ties back in with some of our conversations in the past about the county and like that.
Yeah.
Recent scams for everybody paying attention. I've already read this on the program, but this is not, we think about some of the scams targeting older people. This is for everyone.
Yes.
You
And
wanna tell us a
they
little about
seem to be, a lot of them are centric around law enforcement, where the communication is, this is Sergeant so-and-so
Yeah.
from the Steuben County Sheriff's Office. You either, it might be that you missed your jury summons, or that you haven't registered as a sex offender, or that you haven't done XYZ, and they're targeting folks that may or may not, for example, sex offenders are being targeted.
Well, and that's
with
all
the
public knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
People that are listed on the jury pool are being targeted.
Interesting.
And to avoid being arrested, you need to send gift cards or wire money or whatever to this address, or there will be a deputy coming to arrest you.
Yeah. The gift card, no one's asking for gift. Has anybody paid a fine actually with gift cards?
Well,
Never.
and that never, ever, 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 ever happens.
Never.
We're never going to call you up and say, pay money or go to jail.
Well, that's true too.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And
There is a system.
But they're, especially when we talk about AI and the ability to mimic, and I have found that because most of these are generated overseas, they frequently confuse people that work with Steuben County Sheriff's Office, New York, with Steuben County Sheriff's Office, Indiana.
Yeah, yep.
And you'll cross-check and you'll see that the person they're saying they are is from Indiana, or representing Indiana employee. But yeah, if they're, anytime anybody calls you and says they're law enforcement, you have to pay, or else it's a scam.
Well, Sheriff, that does it for us today. That went quick, as always.
Always goes quick, buddy.
All right, let's do it again soon, okay?
Sounds good.
Good luck at the wine glass.
Thank you. I'm sure it'll be wonderful.
It will. Join us tomorrow at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on Big Fox.